Welcome to the Ray and Everything Show. Top of the morning, 2023. Welcome to the Ray and Everything Show. When we talk about Ray and everything, I'll be talking about more different topics this year besides boxing. But right now, I'm just trying to keep it light and talk about boxing. There's something about these platforms and putting the camera in your face. I think everybody does it. Well, not everybody does it, but I think a lot of people do it. And for some people, it's detrimental. For some people, it's not. But today, we're going to talk about boxing. We're going to talk about Keith Thurman versus Errol Spence at 154. That's what's being reported, that Keith Thurman is going to be fighting Errol Spence at 154. And I understand why. I understand why. I'm not, a lot of boxing channels and people commenting on this subject seem to be perplexed. Okay, it's real simple. Errol Spence doesn't like Keith Thurman. So he wasn't going to give him a shot at the titles. He just wasn't. He's just not going to give him a shot at the titles. He didn't want to give him a shot at the titles because Keith Thurman didn't give him a shot at the titles. And I understand why Keith Thurman didn't do it. Keith Thurman didn't feel like he was in he had no leverage in regards to fighting a younger Errol Spence when he was injured. And I get it. I understand. People just don't want to put themselves in position to lose. When you're fighting, you want to put yourself in every position to win, or at least give you a 50% chance of winning. With that being said, Spence is a gentleman. He's gonna fight Keith Thurman and he's gonna do it at 54 because he doesn't want to break his body down to go down to 47. I think that's best for both of them. I think it's best for Keith Thurman and Errol Spence to fight at 54 because they're older now. So getting their bodies back down to 147, even though they're probably walking around at 160 at its most, maybe 165, getting their bodies back down to 147 is a lot. And you want to do that. I think Errol Spence himself only wants to do that for the undisputed titles because that's history making. That's worth it. Fighting Keith Thurman at 147 to him is probably not worth it. The money is going to be great, but I think the getting down in weight and possibly losing all the belts, or putting down the line, breaking down his body to get down to 147, that's a lot. So, with that being said, I think it's a good fight. I still think it's a very dangerous fight. I think Keith Thurman's very strong. I think he's fast. He's an athlete. I think Errol Spence is going to have to watch out and work hard and train hard, and they're going to have to come up with a great game plan. I think Errol Spence is going to be stronger at 54. I think he's going to be more durable at 54. I think he's going to have to make sure that he game plans for this fight really well, because Keith Thurman is really good on the back foot. So I think it's going to be a great fight. Besides that, Crawford, in my opinion, he kind of messed things up, and I think he may have set a trap for himself. I think he should have took the Spence fight then. I feel like he felt like he wasn't prepared, so he felt like he needed to get a tune-up. I mean, I guess he could make the other excuses about, Spence not being his own boss, whatever. I'm not gonna get him into those politics. I think Crawford now he's gonna be pushed to either drop the belt or fight. So he's gonna have to make a deal with Errol Spence, and then given that he's coming back to the table, they can say that David Avedian fight was a success, but I don't think it was. I just don't believe it was. I don't believe that it was a success. Like if you did it in comparison to just this Tank fight. Tank fight was just last weekend. That was a success. This fight, that fight with David Avenesian, the gloves busted and all of that, that wasn't a success. That was a fluke. And it was a bad business move. It was bad for boxing. It slowed everything down. However, with that being said, if they can, I think Errol Spence will come back down to 47 to fight Crawford for undisputed if he wins the Keith Thurman fight. And let me just say this one thing about Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman, even if he doesn't get the belts, if he wins the fight, he has an opportunity to say, well, I beat Errol Spence. And he still would have an opportunity to say that. The bragging right is still there. Because he really doesn't want the belts. Like he gets those belts, he's gonna wind up dropping them because he's not gonna want to defend them versus all these young guys that's coming up. These guys are getting pretty older in the game. Time doesn't wait for no man. So, the younger guys are coming up, and they're way more dangerous. So I think they could offer Keith Thurman that $10 million to fight Errol Spence, and that fight's gonna be big. It's gonna be good promotion for that fight. It's gonna be great promotion for that fight. Now, let's see if maybe Crawford fights Ugas at 147, because he's not gonna want to fight the rest of those other killers, and it's really not fair for him to be able to fight Ugas at 147. It's really not gonna be fair, but he's gonna have to either give up the belts or fight. I think Boots will take step aside money if he knows for sure that the Spence Crawford fight is gonna go. I think he would. I think Boots would take step aside money. I think it still gives Boots has time to get all of those belts, all of them. Boots has plenty of time to get all of those belts, and I think if he does take the step aside money, he'll see that Showtime will do him a big favor by putting him in the biggest fights in the future. So I don't think he should rush. I don't think he should be rushing. Like, I'm not saying he's rushing right now. I think he's on pace and on time. But I don't, and they should push the envelope to put pressure on these guys to get things done. I think he's already changed the game in regards to how much pressure he's already putting on boxers, and I'm talking about Jerron Boots-Ennis right now. But, I think he's changed the game in regards to how much pressure he's putting on these other fighters to actually be in a gym and to train and to be locked in. They see him coming, they like, oh, I gotta get in the gym, I gotta get locked in, I can't be playing out here. Because what they were doing was they were playing out here. Keith Thurman is especially, like, he was taking off years, not knowing who the new fighters are. That's not, if you're in a profession, you gotta know who the new person is coming up. Like, there's no way you don't not know who these fighters are coming up. So, between Jerron Boots-Ennis and Virgil Ortiz, I think they put a lot of pressure on people to get their fight game together. With that being said, if Terence Crawford has to fight Virgil Ortiz is going to stop Terence Crawford. People can say what they want, but this guy is 19 or 20-0 with 20 knockouts, got like 100% knockout ratio. He stops Terence Crawford. So Terence Crawford is going to need to take this fight with Errol Spence Jr., and then he can walk out of the game. He can get the belts. If he wins, he get all the belts. He can walk out the game. If he loses, he can still walk out the game, but he walks out the game millions of dollars up. These guys are already going to be Hall of Famers. They're already going to be legends. These guys are Hall of Famers already. There's no doubt about it. These guys are already Hall of Famers. So, with that being said, boxing, I get it. I get the sport of boxing. I understand what's going on here. As far as it goes with the 147-pound division, I understand why he's doing it at 54, because it just allows him to have a fight, be in the ring, beat one of the best in that era with Sean Porter and Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman, and which is kind of part of Errol Spence's era. Allow him to be to beat the best in that era, and that's what he trained hard for. And then, if Crawford takes the fight and he beats him, he can say he was the best in that era. And then he can go on and continue to be the promoter that he is. Continue to do, he'll be facing fighters as a promoter, and continue to do the great things. I think this is going to be great. And if he wants to campaign at 54 for a while, which I don't think he should. I think he should maybe take a fight or two at 54. I don't think he should stay in until 38 years old. I really don't think he should stay until 36 years old. I think he should fight 2 more fights, and that's it. People want to say, you're pretty young. 30 fights, 35 fights. That's enough. If you can make $25 to $40 million, 35 fights, that should be enough. It's not like the money stops. He'll be young. He's still got a full life ahead of him. But he won't be, you pray that he doesn't leave out with, damage from taking punches. And you've done what you needed to do. You took care of your family. You retired your parents. You got a beautiful, you have a beautiful home. You got kids. You have the ability to raise them and be there. And then you can guide the younger guys coming up as you have a promotional company. So, I would say this is good. I'm not perplexed about the Keith Thurman versus Errol Spence fight at 154. I think it's a great fight. I think it's a great opportunity for both fighters to fight at a weight class that is not too damaging for their bodies, and because these guys are a little older, not to say that they're old, because they're not old by any stretch of the imagination. I think it'll be good. And I think other channels should accept it and other people criticizing it. I think people should accept it. You're not the one getting in the ring. You're not the one having to get down to 147 pounds, and in regards to some of these sanctioning bodies, you can't be 10 pounds over the limit the next day. It's a lot. So Ray and everything out.